Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for organizing this very, very important discussion today. The various members of the panel today have spoken about the need for awareness and disclosure. It would strike me that having spoken with some people that are concerned about this issue, they're aware of it. They recognize that even though they're aware, they're looking to say, what should we do about it? Just being aware of a problem doesn't tell them what to do. And we're not giving them guidance as to what they should do. If they're aware of someone might be willing to steal technology, what can they do about it? Likewise, if we say, look, we want you to disclose, the bad guys won't disclose. The people who are planning on stealing technology are not going to disclose. They're stealing it for a purpose. They're getting paid to do it in some cases, and others they're just doing it out of a sense of pride or nationalism for another nation. Apparently there are, Mr. Brown, there are thousands of people who are intent, who are in this country that are intent on stealing technology. Is that right?
I would say we don't have an exact number in terms of our caseload, but it's significant. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so let's say thousands of people. How many are being prosecuted now?
I don't have those exact numbers on me. I can get them to you, sir.
But it'd probably be single digits.
Yeah, it's not large, no, sir.
Yeah, it's not 1%. So we got a problem. Expecting the FBI to investigate, find these people, and prosecute them is not going to stop the theft of intellectual property. And just letting people be aware of it is not going to stop the theft of intellectual property. So we got to come up with something different. A number of you have spoken about the importance of bringing people over internationally and being able to advance technology by having a free flow of people internationally, and I certainly agree with that. At the same time, you pointed out, yeah, but we got some people that are stealing, and that's a real problem. But how do we bring the two together? What can we do? Because if you think back to a very different time, during the Cold War, the idea that we would have invited Soviet students to come over and go to our universities, to go to our labs and so forth, saying, hey, we're probably going to learn by all coming together. We probably would have, but we would not have brought them into our most sensitive research facilities because we knew they were intent on dominating or stealing those things in a way that would be not in our national interest. So what do we do now? What suggestions do you have? I mean, for instance, you know, the Department of Energy, we just heard from Dr. Fall that the Department of Energy says we're not going to allow even those who are under contract with us, doing research for us, we're not going to allow them to participate in these talent recruitment programs. And yet that's not true at NIH with the people that are researchers under contract with you. Why should you not adopt that same policy? Dr. Kaiser, I'd say, I mean, Dr. Fall's doing it. Should you not, NIH not do the same?
So from NSF's standpoint, and maybe Mike can talk from NIH, these contracts are a strange hybrid of employment contracts and research contracts. And so we were able to bar our NSF employees and those who are rotating into NSF from participating in these talent contracts because, of course, they can't have two employers. Similarly, we need to work with the U.S. universities because these researchers who are part of these contracts are employed by the U.S. university. And then they're getting a second employer, and they're not disclosing that to the U.S. university. So we are making sure that we communicate the unfairness, of course, and the concern that we have to the U.S. universities, and we are finding that they are truly stepping up in taking action against those who are not disclosing that they are getting money from a foreign government and working at their university. Within the past few weeks, we've had several U.S. research institutions come to us saying that they have taken action, personnel action. They have requested transfer of the grants that these people have gotten away from them because of this conflict that they have. So I think that we just need to make sure that we continue to work together in partnership with our law enforcement collaborators as well as the U.S. universities who are the employers of these people to make sure that we all take action together.
Yeah, I would note that we've all acknowledged that China has as its objective becoming the world's superpower, the hyperpower, by the middle portion of this century, that the point of the spear for them is technology, both for their economic dominance as well as for their military dominance. And they're here just stealing technology from us in every way they possibly can. I would suggest in a circumstance like that, that relying on them to, those that are being recruited by the Chinese or by Russians or North Koreans or Iranians to voluntarily tell us, here's what I'm going to be doing, here's the technology I'm planning on stealing, that's just not going to happen. They're not going to do that. And therefore, relying on awareness and disclosure is not going to advance the ball for us. And if we're serious about protecting America's future, we're going to have to put in place not just programs of awareness, but programs with specific policy that we communicate to our research institutions and our universities, policies, regulations, and perhaps legislation. And I don't know what that legislation looks like, but I think we're looking to you who are at this juncture where we want to have the exchange of ideas with other people and other nations, but with regards to those hostile powers that have been spoken about, do we not need to put in place specific policies, regulations, and legislation which can guide the State Department on issuing visas, which can guide each of your research institutions themselves, and with regards to NSF, can not only guide your own researchers, but those that are under contract with you? I think we need something more robust than just talking about letting our universities become more aware of it. We had a chance just this last week in Utah to have members of the FBI and others come and present to the governor and members of our legislature about these threats. And afterward, the comment that came to me was, this was very interesting to hear and to become aware of this concern, but what are you telling us we should do about it? Because they feel, gosh, if we do anything, we're going to look like perhaps we're ethnically sensitive or we're targeting people, profiling. So what should we do? And we have not given anyone guidance as to what they should do. I hope you can help us do that. I would love to get your recommendations after these hearings are over.